Hi, and welcome to the Business Wave, the Enterprise Europe Network podcast for small businesses with big ambitions. I'm your host, Roxandra Bosilka, and every month we talk business with top experts. Today we're discussing the topic of marketing for small businesses. We all know how crucial marketing is for SMEs and startups. It's the key to getting noticed, attracting customers, and propelling your business forward. But where do you start? How can you create a marketing strategy that actually works? Well, buckle up because we've got all the practical steps and insights you need. We've brought in a very special guest today, Sam Day. Sam is an online marketing consultant, a LinkedIn learning instructor, and a best-selling online course creator on Udemy. He's the founder of Daytips, a fantastic educational website that empowers entrepreneurs to develop effective online marketing strategies. Oh, and did I mention he's also an external trainer at the European Commission? I actually had the pleasure of taking Sam's training course on social media and paid advertising, and let me tell you, it was a game changer. So get ready to soak up some serious knowledge because Sam is about to drop some incredible tips and insights that will take your marketing game to the next level. Trust me, you don't want to miss this one. Hi Sam, it's fantastic to have you here with us. Welcome to the show.
Lovely to be here. Thank you for the great introduction.
Let's start with a simple but important question. Why is marketing essential for small businesses?
So essentially, you have no business if you do no marketing. So marketing, a lot of people confuse marketing and what it is and what it should be. But essentially, your product itself is marketing. If your product is really good, then people will consume that product and they will tell people about it. How many times have we kind of bought something or even watched a movie or seen something and it's really amazing, and the first thing we do is we go and tell someone about it. So even, for example, last year I went to see Bob Marley in the theatre production, and I told my cousin about it, and a few months later she booked tickets to go herself. I didn't send her the link, she just discovered it and found it. So marketing is not just about being on Facebook or being on YouTube or doing advertisements. It boils all the way down to your product as well and what people are saying about your product. And having that good experience of your product is where it all starts. So marketing is the foundational aspect of every business.
As a marketing expert, what practical advice would you give to small businesses which are new to marketing? What are the key steps they should take to build an effective marketing strategy?
So that's a really great question. So the first step I would say is to try not to get overwhelmed. There's so much happening online and there's so many possibilities that sometimes we can almost feel glued to the ground, not knowing where to start. Like, should I be focusing on my website? Should I be focusing on YouTube? Should I be on TikTok? What's happening now with AI? And, it can feel very overwhelming and all-consuming at times. And I like to keep it simple. So think about what's the quickest way you can achieve some of your goals. And if that is by doing an advertisement on Facebook, or you believe that is by doing a Google ad or by creating some content, then focus on that. Focus on what's going to bring you the best results in the shortest time possible. And then you can always build from there. A lot of times people are trying to create this big strategy and be, the best marketer you possibly can be, where it's just not always realistic and you're going to overextend yourself. So think about putting one foot in front of the other, taking baby steps. And then once you're seeing results come in, you can always build your team out or kind of increase your reach from there.
I love what you just said. Simplify, start small, and prioritize high return on investment activities for success. But how can small businesses create a unique brand identity that really stands out in a crowded market?
So that's a really important one as well. There's so many competitors on the market now, in so many different industries, that you have to be able to set yourself apart. So think about what your unique selling point is, kind of back to the basics of marketing and entrepreneurship. Is what is your unique selling point? What do you do differently to who else is also on the market? But another thing I like to do is look into different industries as well. So whatever industry you are in, can you find another brand in another industry who's doing something pretty creative that maybe people in your industry are not currently doing at the moment? Like, can you adopt that and bring that into your industry? So a good example of this might be, for example, maybe you're promoting your brand on Google using Google Ads. You might want to search Google for a completely different industry and see how they are advertising. And can you adopt some of those practices into your Google Ads as well? So it's a way to kind of be innovative. It's a way to kind of stay on top. And also think about your branding and keeping that consistent as well. You should have some brand guidelines in terms of the colors you're using consistently on your website, on your social media. Think about your brand voice as well. Like, are there certain things that you say that you can say repeatedly in your content or in your emails when you're emailing your list? So having that consistency in your branding is really important as well. Like big companies like McDonald's do it. I'm loving it. We know about that. We know about the arches, the yellow arches, and even a small child, when you drive past McDonald's, would know, oh, that's that company. I want to get some chips, or I want to whatever they want to get. Your brand should be recognizable online as well. So have familiar colors, familiar content, and keep that consistency across the internet.
Having a rock solid online presence is a must for small businesses to succeed, as we talked. So it's like your virtual storefront that allows you to reach more people, connect with customers, and really show off what you've got to offer. But how can small businesses create a strong online presence in a few simple steps?
So definitely the first and foremost thing is to understand your target audience. That's really important. Know who it is you're trying to serve. So that's step number one. Step number two is, once you know who your target audience is, what information will bring them value online, or what content will bring them value online. So once you know who they are, what are their needs, their wants and desires, and then can you create that in a way that will resonate with them? And depending on who your target audience is, that will give you a good indication as to what type of content they will like to consume. So if you're speaking to, for example, university professors, then they probably want to read content. They're not afraid to read a lengthy blog article on LinkedIn or on your website or whatever it might be, and they probably want educational references and so on and so forth. Whereas if you are trying to target busy students, then they may not have a lot of time to read a long article. Maybe you deliver content to them in a short 30-second video, and then you give them a call to action to visit your website or send you a direct message or whatever it might be. So understanding your target audience will help you to know, okay, how do they want content delivered to them? And then you need to think about where are they going to be spending their time online? And this will give you a good indication of what platforms to focus on. So rather than being everywhere and saying, okay, I'm going to be on YouTube, I'm going to be on TikTok, I'm going to create a website, you want to focus your energies to where you feel like your audience are spending the most amount of their time, and learn that platform as best as you can. So learn how people are using that platform. And the best way to do that is to create a personal account. So if you've identified that your audience is on LinkedIn, but you don't use LinkedIn often and you're not really sure how to create content, create a LinkedIn account and follow some of your favorite people on there. See what comes up in your feed. See what content you find interesting and dissect that. Take a step back and reverse engineer what made you stop and look at a piece of content for longer, and can you recreate that when creating your content? So you want to be organic and authentic on the platforms you are creating content for, because every platform is different. The etiquette on that platform is different, and how content is created and served and consumed is different. So you want to understand those nuances. And then you also want to ensure that you have your goals as well. So what are you trying to do online? And what goals are you trying to reach? What goals are you trying to hit? Set those goals up and make sure that your content is pushing people towards those goals. So having strong call to actions on social media is a great way to ensure that people are actually clicking links, they're going to your website, they're signing up, they're buying products, but they're not going to do that unless you urge them to.
As you said, Creating content that grabs attention is crucial for small businesses to make their mark. What are your top tips for SMEs to create engaging content that really hits the spot?
So first and foremost, I would say get a lot of content out there. So the second you get an idea for a piece of content, put it out as quickly as you can, because you never really know what content is going to resonate with your audience. And you can test this out by going onto YouTube and searching for a popular YouTube channel. They're not going to have the same views on every single video. Some videos might have 100,000 views, other videos might have just 1,000, some might have 20,000, because it depends on so many different factors. It could be the title, it could be the thumbnail, the topic. You don't really necessarily know what piece of content is going to resonate with the algorithm. So always push your ideas and get them out as quickly as possible. I think the worst thing you can do is sit on an idea for too long and then you spend over extended amount of time creating that content and then you put it out and it's a little bit disappointing. The best pieces of content I've put out, or the content that has done the best for me, is always ones that I never even thought would do that well. It's just, oh, I need to get a video out today. Let me just put one out on this topic, and it does extremely well. So when it comes to content, get it out as quick as possible. And I have an app on my phone as well, Google Notes. And whenever I have an idea, I might be sitting on a plane, or I might be, first thing I wake up in the morning and I'm like, oh, that would be a great idea. I quickly go into my notes and note it down. You never know when your best idea for a piece of content is going to come. So having an app on your phone where you can kind of list your ideas is always a great idea. So when you're sitting down to actually create content, you can open up that app and remember all of the content ideas that you had and work on those. And secondly, obviously you want to look over your content. So once you've been posting content for a while, look over your content and see what has performed best. So that could give you an indicator of how to go forward. So if you have, say, a list of 3 or 4 topics that you touch on, and you notice that whenever you touch on 1 or 2 of those 2 topics get a lot of reach and a lot of attention, then that might be where you've put your focus in. But different types of content do different things. So you might have a certain topic that gets you a lot of views and a lot of new followers online, but it doesn't necessarily drive people to your website. And then you might post different topics that get less attention, but these topics tend to drive people back to your website. And when you notice this, you might say, okay, certain topics might not get a lot of views, but I still need them because they're helping to move the needle for the business. So it's really important that you are not just putting content out consistently, but you're also taking that time to analyze your content. And social media will give you a lot of tools. If you go onto Instagram and you have and you upgrade to a business profile, which doesn't cost anything to do, it's just a few clicks away. It will give you a lot of analytics about your performance, the performance of different posts that you put out. And this is really important because you can kind of see what content is attracting a new audience, what content is getting engagement, and use that as information when creating your content strategy going forward. The same with LinkedIn and the same with YouTube. You can use all of your analytics to help you grow. You can also use a platform called answerthepublic.com. It's a free tool. They do have a premium feature, which just allows you to do a little bit more, but essentially you can use it for free. And what that allows you to do is type in keywords that are related to your industry, and it will give you loads of suggestions of questions that people are asking the internet on those specific topics that you've searched for. So this will give you maybe 100, if not more, different ideas for content that you can turn into blog articles or posts for LinkedIn or reels for Instagram that will be really difficult for you to run out of content ideas.
How can small businesses make the most of social media to build a strong online presence?
One of the biggest tips I would say is the 80-20 rule. 80% of your content should be serving your target audience. So think about what is going to bring your audience the most amount of value. And I guess we hear the word value often when it comes to creating content. Everyone speaks about make sure your content is valuable, make sure you're creating valuable content. But what does that actually mean? So you can break down value by content that entertains your target audience, content that educates your target audience, or content that informs even your target audience. So maybe there's something new happening in your industry and you can keep people up to date with that. So, are you entertaining? Are you educating? Are you informing? Think about these kinds of things when you're producing content as your first and foremost. So a lot of times, whenever I go and I assess a social media account for a brand, they are focusing on what social media can do for them as a company rather than what they can do for their target audience on social media. So let's take one of my clients, for example. She is a mental health practitioner and she wants to increase her clients that find her through social media. So if you were going at it in a selfish way or going social media in a selfish way, you'll be creating content, letting people know about where your practice is and how much you charge. You'll be putting maybe content out about price changes or a discount that you have today, which is not really that valuable to somebody who might be struggling with their mental health and is on social media. So a better strategy would be to think about who your target client is. Who are you trying to reach? You're trying to reach women who are struggling with mental health or who would like to talk about their mental health. Are you targeting parents? Really break that down and figure out what content would be beneficial to them and put that content out 80% of the time. So let's say we're targeting parents. Maybe they've just had children or they've had children for a while and they are struggling with their mental health and they would like some tips and advice. Maybe they're considering doing therapy as well. So you want to put content out about how to manage mental health as a parent or coping mechanisms for parents or things to keep in mind when thinking about doing therapy. So these kinds of things would help your target audience out and they're receiving value from you a lot of the time. So what you don't want is people following you on social media just to get another follower or just to get another number on your social media account. You want people following you who genuinely want to be there. So for example, on my YouTube channel, the reason why people subscribe is because I create marketing tips and marketing strategies. I help people with their SEO and with their pay-per-click marketing. And that's very desirable. It's all free. People can subscribe and watch that content. They're subscribing because it's valuable, not because I'm forcing them to. And if I have a product or a service that I want to sell, I've now built that audience up that I can market to. So social media essentially is your way of building your platform. That's why we call it a social media platforms. The 80% of your content that is bringing value is you building your platform so you have an audience to speak to 20% of the time when you promote your services or your products, whatever that might be. But a lot of people are trying to do it the other way around. They're trying to promote their product or service most of the time to an audience that are disengaged because you haven't provided them any value. So definitely think about the 80-20 rule, provide value up front. And then on the back end of that, once you've built your audience, you can let them know a little bit more about your initiatives, your products, and your services.
We know that data can provide valuable insights for marketing decision making. In practical terms, how can small businesses use data to improve their marketing strategies?
So on a kind of a surface level on social media, you can use some of the data that you're given and you can make a data-driven decisions going forward. So if you notice that certain types of content are getting better results in terms of views, in terms of audience retention, in terms of followers that are starting to follow you when you create certain types of content and impressions, then the obvious thing to do would be to create more of the content that is working for you. Whenever starting on a new platform on social media, or when you're realizing that you're starting to plateau a little bit, you're not really growing, a good strategy is to think about the different tools that are available to you on said social media platform. So for example, on Instagram, you can create reels, you can post pictures, you can post carousels, you can post on your story. On LinkedIn, you can post a video, you can do a written article, you can start a newsletter. There's so many different ways to post content. And I recommend creating all of them at first, using all of the features available and seeing what content type seems to get you the most or the best results in terms of your analytics. If you notice that whenever you post a video, it tends to do extremely well on LinkedIn, or whenever you post a reel, it does way better than anything else you do on Instagram, then you want to double down and focus on that content type to help you to drive those results consistently. And then again, you might be doing that for 3-4 months and then you notice you hit a plateau. Then you can do the strategy again, start creating new content types. Social media platforms are always coming out with new ways of you producing content. So even with YouTube, they came out with YouTube Shorts not too long ago. Stories, almost every social media platform now gives you the ability to post to your story. But just a few short years ago, that wasn't the case. It was only really Snapchat where you could do that. So whenever a platform comes out with a new functionality, you want to test that and see if it helps you to drive more awareness to your brand and more followers and that kind of thing. But you also want to track some of your more important analytics as well. So is your social media actually translating into leads for your business, into sales for your business? And these are things that you can track on your website as well. So make sure you have conversion tracking. You might be using Google Analytics or some way of separating your social media traffic from other sources of traffic that you might be getting online. So you can start to quantify how successful your social media marketing is in terms of pushing forward some of your business goals.
As we come to the end of our podcast, what's the most important advice you have for small businesses starting their marketing journey?
Is, I would say, listening, because a lot of times marketing, we think about speaking a lot. We want to go on social media and share our story. We want to create an advertisement and let people know what we're talking about. But before you know what to say, you need to listen. So going on social media and taking some time to hear what people are saying on social media. Again, going back to that whole concept of who has the attention of your target audience, following their account and listening to what they're saying, but also looking through the comments, going onto Twitter and seeing what people are saying in your industry and just reading through the comments, reading through what people are concerned about, going to forums online that are related to your industry. And again, seeing what questions people are asking and what comments and what posts seem to be getting a lot of engagement in those forums. You can go to Facebook groups that are related to your industry as well. And again, taking time to listen and seeing what the concerns are of people. So even when something new happens, where it might be AI or it might be something specific to your industry, see what people are speaking about on those topics and what people are fearful of or excited about. This will all give you the foundations that you need to create content that is relevant, to create content that is going to capture people's attention because you've been listening, you know what people are talking about, and so you know what then to speak about, and you can be a lot more targeted when you do speak and a lot more effective when you speak as well.
And that's a wrap for today's episode of The Business Wave. A big shout out to our guest Sam for sharing such valuable marketing tips and strategies with us. Sam, it was a pleasure.
Thank you for having me. It's been great.
Thank you all for tuning in. We've got plenty more exciting content coming right your way, so make sure to hit that subscribe button on our YouTube channel or find the Business Wave podcast on your favorite app. We have some incredible guests lined up and we can't wait to bring their stories to you. Until next time, stay inspired and keep chasing your dreams. I'm your host, Ruxandra Vosilka, and I'll catch you on the next episode of The Business Wave.